Morris yet. He'll be the jump he's coming up. Okay, so to get you started, yeah. Although I'm offended that you put pants on now. All right, so I would like to ask everybody to please close your eyes for just a moment. And now imagine what you think God looks like. That's right, God. Anything you want, no pressure, feel free for it to be nothing or an endlessly expansive universe that doesn't give a shit about you, but keep your eyes closed. Give me 1 second.
Flying lane, following direction. It's really not a challenge.
Alright, so how many of you can open your eyes now? How many of you imagined this? And I'll try to let everybody see. Alright, little decrepit old white man. He's very racist. And he thinks only white people should ever own land and have anything. Alright, so anybody? No? Me neither. But what's interesting, if you want to call it interesting, is that the majority of really, really, truly fucked up shit that America has done in its history has been because people thought that this was God, and God said only white people should have land, and only white people should have, you know, rights and all of these things, right? So that term is manifest destiny. So manifest destiny literally means white America's God-given right to have all the land on the whole continent, and they really, really wanted to have all of Mexico and Canada too, never mind who might have already been living there. So sorry, Native Americans and Mexicans and French fur trappers and bison and trees and nature and all of that. So that's fucking manifest destiny. It's basically racism. That's what it says. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, the little ugly troll in the closet, I am going to try my best to tell you the story of how America justified taking a shit ton of land away from Mexico with the justification of manifest destiny. Alright? You with me? It's called the Mexican-American War. And the best I could do was my Los Bagels shirt. So give it up for the best cafe in the country. Yes, I know people who've been there. It was a Mexican woman married a Jewish man, and it's the best food ever. Alright, so back in 1810, when Mexico first gained its independence from Spain, it was way fucking bigger. Way, way bigger. Mexico stretched all the way up north, and it included like all of California, all of Texas, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, I said Arizona, Colorado, that one's easy, you should remember Colorado, Wyoming, and some of Kansas and Oklahoma as well. I'm gonna get my beer. We're gonna do that. All right. Thank you. All right, God's gonna hold my beer for me. It's perfect. All right, so Mexico was really fucking big, like more than twice the size as it is now. And, but the problem was that there wasn't that many Mexican people living in the North Territories. So they were like, shit, there's just tons of Native Americans, and they wanted to get some economic growth and economic development, right? And so they invited American settlers to come on in. And yes, that does mean that one of Mexico's first acts as a sovereign nation was to welcome as many immigrants as possible from America. So that's funny. But yeah, so Mexico had three conditions for the American settlers. Condition one, they wanted them to come for at least 10 years because, you know, economic development. 2, they wanted them to practice Catholicism because they had already been ass raped by Spain for the last several hundred years. And then the 3rd one was that that the American settlers shouldn't bring any enslaved people with them because Mexico had actually abolished slavery already, like 44 years before America did. Yeah. But this proved to be problematic for the settlers because they were mostly Protestant. They were loyal to America. They said America, and that was important to them. And most of the ones coming over were coming from the South, and they were super racist dick munches. And so that was problematic. But then Mexico made a very, very bad mistake that they would later regret, which was to say, okay, we're gonna let some shit slide. We're gonna just go ahead and let some of these rich plantation-owning white prigs bring in some of their enslaved people, but it was gonna be a restricted number. That was their plan, and the plan didn't go well. I'm just gonna spoiler alert a little bit. All right, so one of the people that they invited in was this guy named Moses Austin, and then his son, Stone Cold Steve Austin, little known fact, he started selling off the land. He was like dividing up pieces of his family's land and selling them off, and he made a fortune. And then pretty soon what happened was there were so many Americans there that there were more American settlers than Mexican people. There was like 4 times as many. And that made Mexico very nervous. And they were like, fuck, backpedal, backpedal, backpedal. We're gonna annul all of these land deals that we had, no more immigration, you know. And so it was in the area that is now Austin, Texas, which later turned into South by Southwest, and lots of drug bros on the street, and the end. Yeah, not the end yet. So Stone Cold Steve Austin gets all these Americans there. Mexico's like, no more, but it's too late, right? And what happens is Steve Austin is like, well, you know what? There's more of us than there are them, so fuck you, Mexico. We don't want to deal with your fucking slavery regulations no more, because restricted is not enough, apparently. And they were like, so fuck it, we're just gonna fucking do whatever the fuck we want. And so in order to try to stop this Nazi uprising, what happened was Mexico sent in, I'm gonna get it right, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, and he came in to try to settle shit. He was like, all right, simmer down now, Steve Austin, I'm gonna stop the shit, right? But then he didn't stop the shit, and it turned into a full-blown revolt for Texas's independence. It's an easy thing to say when you're drunk, Texas's independence. Okay, so it's a long story, but it's so worth it, I promise. All right, I'm gonna learn you. All right, so what happened was, at first, Santa Anna was kicking ass. He was doing just fine, and in 1836, he actually kicked the shit out of this white supremacy group of Texas rebels at a little place called the Alamo that you might have heard of. And he killed 200 and something, including Davy Crockett. So there you go, there's Davy Crockett. In case you were wondering if I was going to mention him, I did. But I think what's really fucked up, and I actually would like us to pause for a moment, because I don't know, did you guys know this shit about the Alamo? Because I didn't know this about the Alamo. I first learned about the Alamo from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Anyone else? Yes. Pee-wee goes to the Alamo tour so that he can find the basement of the Alamo, which is apparently an actual thing. If you YouTube right now, I did a ton of research. It might not look like it, but I did. But there's actually a YouTube video of Pee Wee Herman now, who's basically Pee Wee Herman, but but just a little sadder and thicker in his throat. But he actually found the basement of the Alamo. There is one, and that movie was a lie. But it wasn't just a lie for that, it was also a lie because he failed to mention that it was actually this like elitist group of Texas, good old boy thugs that were fighting for the right to own more human beings. That's what the Alamo was. But then about a month later, the Texas rebels came back and they defeated Santa Anna in the Battle of, I will get it, San Jacinto. That's what it is. San Jacinto. And that's the one, if you guys are wondering, where everybody was like, remember the Alamo! Remember the Alamo! And everybody was super, super horny, and they had these giant, like, huge erect guns that they were just like shooting each other off. And that was the Remember the Alamo. Alright, so then Texas was independent. We're almost there. We're inching our way to the Mexican-American War. So then Texas was independent, but they were like, actually, y'all, we don't really want to be a country. We just want to be part of America and become a state. So you'd think America would be very happy about this, but they were not. So at first, the U.S. government actually denied Texas from becoming a state, and the reason for that is because they, at the time, had a perfect balance in the Senate between free states and states in which it was legal to own another human being. And they were like, oh, we really don't want to upset this fucking balance because that might mean civil war, right? Foreshadowing. So at first, and it was Van Buren. It was President Van Buren who was like, no, we're not going to fuck up the balance. So then the next election, which is a lie. It wasn't the next election. It was actually 2 elections later. The next election is total tangent that has nothing to do with it, but I think it's important for you, so I'm going to tell you. You want to hear a tangent? I have a drink and tell you a tangent. Okay. So the tangent is not really a tangent, it's the next election. But Van Buren lost to William Henry Harrison. Yes, George Harrison. That's how I remembered. That's how you remember too. William Henry Harrison, and he famously gave the longest inauguration speech in the history of America. He stood outside and he was sick. It was a cold, fucking, like, shitty cold March morning, and he stood out there, sick as nails, because nails are sick, and he gave this, like, almost 2-hour inauguration speech. You know what's amazing? He fucking died of pneumonia 30 days later. Longest inauguration speech in American history, and shortest term in office. And actually, his vice president, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, true story, he is the first vice president ever to ascend to presidency. So then the next election, now we're back on track. Okay, so the next election, which was 1844, was Polk, James Polk. All right, James Polk ran on a campaign of 3 fucking things. Pro-Texas becoming a state, pro-slavery, because he was a dick munch, he was like BFFs with Andrew Jackass, and 3, manifest destiny. Back to this little fucker. All right, so that was his thing, and then he won, and 2 days, this is true, 2 days before he went into office, the Senate were like, fuck, he's gonna bring in Texas and that's gonna disrupt everything and be shitty. So what the Senate did was 2 days before he came into office, they hurried up and brought in Texas as a state, but at the same time, they did this like backdoor shady deal with their old friends, the Brits, and to bring Oregon in as well as a free state, and they were like, there, at least we have the balance. But spoiler alert, the balance doesn't work, and they end up while killing each other very soon anyway. All right, so James Polk is now president. It is 1944, and it's James fucking Polk. And he's like, great, Texas is already a state, so that's fucking tits. But I still want Manifest Destiny. And again, Manifest Destiny is the whole fucking continent. He wanted, so he had this line in mind for an upcoming hit song. It was amazing. He was like, oh, I have it. From sea to shining sea. So he was like, I need fucking California. That's it, right? The song is America the Beautiful. Anybody want to know? Okay, so he's like, I need California. I really fucking want California. Need it, need it, need it. So he spends all weekend long tweeting at Mexico. And he's like, hey, Mexico! You have to sell me California because I'm white. And God said I can have it. God said I can have anything I want because I'm white. So then Mexico was like, no, which is Spanish for no. And they were just like, no, we're not gonna do it. He offered the money. They were like, no deal, no deal. But he, like our president now, didn't like not getting his way. So, and I actually put a diaper on this little god here, because I thought that'd be funny. But he threw a temper tantrum, and he was like, I'm not gonna take no for an answer, like any good, loving American man. Just kidding. It's terrible to say. So he basically said, fuck you, Mexico, I'm gonna make you sell me California. And what he does is he has his little thug soldiers go into Mexican territory, mind you, in the new border between like Texas and Mexico, and start just fucking harassing the Mexican soldiers, just poking at them and poking at them and poking at them until they finally shoot. And then he's like, ha-ha! I have to declare war, obviously, because they spilled American blood on American soil. So, duh, right? He has to do it. But it's really fucked up. It was literally as if you would break into somebody's house and then shoot them for trespassing in your house. That's the logic here. That's what he does. And most Americans were totally for it because most Americans are for war, unfortunately. But there were a few that were against, and one that's kind of an important name that was against the war, who was very vocal, was Henry David Thoreau. Anybody know Henry David Thoreau in here? Yeah? So Henry David Thoreau was like, fuck that noise, and he didn't pay his war taxes, because there was war taxes for the new war, and I apologize in advance, but I just have to do it because I thought of it and I have to do it. He got thrown in jail. I'm sorry. So he got thrown in jail, Henry David thrown in jail for not paying war taxes. But FYI, that's where he wrote on civil disobedience, which later inspired Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which literally just proves the point that there's always been good people on the right side of history, and fuck all the rest. Thank you. Yes. So, okay, but back to the war, and which is actually kind of an important war. It was the first war that America fought on foreign soil, because it was almost all in Mexico, and more Americans died in the Mexican-American War than in fucking World War I and World War II. People don't know this. Yeah, fuck you, like, American education system. None of us knew this. I didn't know this. I didn't know this about the Alamo. It was all about Pee Wee Herman. It's all a fucking lie. But Mexico was like, no, we're not going to give up. We refused to sell California, and James Polk was not going to take no for an answer. So he sends the secret militia down to Mexico City. They capture Mexico City and force like at gunpoint, them to fucking sign the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. That's what it sounds. Everybody say it. Guadalupe Hidalgo. Yes, timing, and that was perfect. Thank you. There you go. That's the most that treaty's name has ever been said in a single room by anyone. Okay, so they signed this treaty which forces Mexico to give up more than half their land. More than half, all those states, all of California, Texas, Colorado, where we're sitting right now, all of it. And they really didn't want to sell it. It's super, super fucking dicky, right? But in order to not be such a douchebag, America forces them to take this like giant Price is Right check for $15 million, which might sound like a lot of money, but again, this is like more than half of their land. It's more than, or it's almost 600,000 square miles. It's bigger than the country of Peru. It's a huge fucking space, and Mexico is just forced to do this. And that's really shitty. But okay, so here's the whole point. The whole reason I picked this, and that I wanted to convey, is that it's more dicky than this. It's even more dicky than this. 1 week before America forced Mexico to sign this treaty, guess what was found in California? Gold! Gold! Yes, the official start to the California gold rush was January 24th, 1848, and Mexico was forced to sign this treaty on Groundhog's Day, of all things, 1848, February 2nd, 1848. So it's even more fucked up than that. It's like breaking into somebody's house that you know has hidden treasure buried in their yard that they don't know about, and then forcing them at gunpoint to sell their house for way less than it's worth. So, there you have it. And this is the reason why I think that Mexicans should be able to do whatever the fuck they want here, anytime they want. Thank you guys.